For this first scene, I wanted to create a sad moonlight scene. And I wanted to have these kind of harsh raindrops that would cast a shadow on the background and on my face. I started by looking for some nice compositions, and I used my trusty meter tool talking bear as a subject for this. And eventually I decided on this angle. First I set up my key light, and I added a small light dome to kind of sharpen the light, and I adjusted it to be higher up because the moon would be in real life. Weighed it down with some bricks because I don't have any sandbags. And already we're getting some nice long shadows starting to form. I turned on the background cabinet lights to add depth and a bit of colour contrast. And they also make it feel a bit more like it's nighttime. I then sprayed a ton of water on the window, using this advanced method. The bounce wasn't really doing its job, so I moved it closer, and that really filled in my face. The background was looking a bit flat, so I decided to kind of move the light so I got some on the background. And then I added a homemade cookie, or a cucurloris, which is basically a piece of cardboard with random shapes cut into it, and in this case it makes it look like the moonlight is passing through a bunch of trees or something, which really helps to sell the effect. I've kind of tilted it at an angle, so here is the only bit of the cookie. None of the other bit has the cookie on. And it's like, oh, no. Okay, so I added a bounce, water drops, because they dry out so fast, and a cucurloris on the background. And already that looks way better than before, because the background interest had so much depth. Then I turned off the practicals to see if I preferred it, and I do kind of prefer it. It makes it look more dramatic and less distracting. And this is the final setup, and I think it turned out very well in the end. This is another shot I came up with.
Hey, do you want a potato?
No, I don't.
Frank, there's nothing in there.
Okay. Turn it over. For this next setup, I wanted to create a warm, cozy vibe. I started by looking for nice compositions again, using my handy test subject. I focused mainly on having a balanced frame with some nice leading lines going to the subject. And eventually I decided on this angle here, with my tripod set very low. I started by turning off all of the horrible ceiling lights until it was completely dark in the house. Then I turned on this lamp in the background to give it a cozy vibe. And then I set up this horrendous mess. Past Jacob will explain what it is. Here I have the light. It's like black tin foil with a gel on the end so that the light points in like a certain area instead of everywhere. And then I have this black cloth to block out like light bouncing off the wall and just going everywhere. This reflector, which is the main key light for the subject. Then this also blocks out some of the bounce. This was the first result. I didn't really like it, so I tweaked around a ton to see what looked better. And when I tilted the gold bounce towards me, it looked way too saucy. So I decided to bounce it off some unbleached muslin instead, which has a kind of warm tint. And combined with the gel on the light, that gave me a very warm and soft result. And this is with the muslin moved a bit more to the side. And now I was really happy with how the key light was looking. And this setup was a bit of a squeeze to work in because my camera was right underneath my light and it was all like merged together in a corner. I really want to get rid of this patch of light here because you can see it in frame. So I had to kind of cut it out using some black wrap. This was the final result. And I'm pretty happy with this one. To create the fire effect, my mum moved the cucaloris or cookie in front of the light. The teddy bear, Rainbow, had been screaming the entire time and wouldn't shut up, so I beat her up and put her under a table. Since it had just turned December, I thought maybe Christmassy would be a good theme. Merry Christmas, you guys. For this one I had a very basic but good idea of what I wanted. I started with an unbleached muslin bounce, and then I bounced my small LED light panel off it, and I set it to a warm colour temperature. I moved the light just a bit to the side, and that changed where the light was coming from, and it makes it more believable that it's coming from the tree. Even though in real life it would not look like this. But no one notices when they watch a film. You can get away with quite a lot of this kind of thing. I needed to sort out the colour of this because it doesn't match the fairy lights. So I used Sidus Link to kind of match the colour temperature. I took a picture of the white wall and it came out of this colour temperature. And then I matched my light to the same colour temperature as the fairy lights. Yeah, I'd say that looks pretty good. But I wanted to have the blue light that was coming out the door at the start. So I decided to wait until the next day to do the exact same. Oh, hi. Sit back, relax, and have yourself a lovely Christmas. I sure am, and you should too. I'm very, very happy with this result. And here are all of the shots that we created. And that is how you create 3 different moods in just one room. Goodbye.